I can't see. Amazing. So, hi everyone. Welcome to our discussion today. It's about podcasting as a self-discovery journey. We have with us three amazing podcasters. I'm the only one who's not a podcaster here, and I'm so excited to learn from the best. So, we have Khalid Suleiman from Saudi Arabia, and David and Karen from the US. And thank you, Reem. So many people said the same. The topic is interesting. That's what I liked about the topic. And
Good.
yes, so let's start with Khalid. Khalid, he works in leadership and management. He's a podcaster, as I said, instructional designer, MA and TESOL, and currently he is a PhD student or researcher in educational technology. Wishing you all the best, Khalid. So,
You too.
thank you. Thank you very much. He's a lifelong learner. And also, Karen with us, she is the CEO and founder of Narrative. Lots of amazing assessments. And she has launched her podcast with her partner, Adriana. Also, wishing you all the best with that. Thank you, Karen, for joining us. Also, we have David. Well, David, I'm not sure how many podcasts you you are part of. So glad to have you with us. And
Thank you. Happy to
Dave,
be here.
thank you. He's an
Yeah.
instructional designer. Also, he's director of educational technology at ATD, St. Louis, sorry. And we have something in common, all of us here. David and I, we have teaching in common, also instructional design, education technology, and I have the same with Khalid. David, he told me he had an acting background. Karen is about leadership development and assessments. I'm psychometrist as well. So I love being part of that discussion. And about me, I'm a certified coach, mentor supervisor, psychometrist, as I told you, and I'm so happy to be here today. So we have more people here. Amazing. Hi, everyone. Can you tell us in the chat where are you based and what brought you here? Okay. David, can you see the chat? I have Philip. Hello, Philip. Hello, Mariam. Hello, Karina. So we have Karina from the US. She's curious about the topic. Yes, please. I'm not sure. I heard somebody talking. Yeah, hi from Mariam from Qatar. Also curious. Excellent. And here, Philip, I'm preparing for my own podcast. Amazing. Wishing you all the best. Now, let me ask our guests, are you ready for the first question?
Yes.
Amazing. So, what inspired you to begin podcasting? Who'd like to start? Khalid, Karen, or David?
I'll start because I might be the first person,
Yeah, ladies
the
first.
most recent.
There you are. Yeah.
So I have I have my own company and my own consulting firm, but I have an accountability partner, Adriana. I do leadership development, team building, coaching, and I have a proprietary personality assessment. And but she does strategy. And sometimes we work at the same client. But we figured out that strategy and culture really go together. They're integrated, right? And so we decided we would go to market together as integrating culture and strategy. So I kind of flippantly said, "Oh, we should do a podcast." And Adriana sort of ran with it, and she started putting everything in place to make it happen. And then we committed to it. So we had this idea to go to market, and we decided to do the podcast. And so we're really excited. We have 19 episodes so far, and we've only launched 10 because we want to make sure we have some in the pipeline.
Wonderful.
Amazing. Glad to hear like you are enjoying that. What about you, Khalid and David? What would you like to add? Thank you, Karen.
David, go ahead.
Certainly, yeah. I think for me, the answer would be that I've always had interests. And at a certain point in my life, the interests led me to listening to podcasts. So I just fell in love with the fact whenever I'm mowing the lawn or driving the car or doing something where I couldn't be reading a book, I first got into audiobooks and then realized that podcasting was a way to really get some current information on a sort of a niche interest that I had. So things like maybe science, right? I like the Freakonomics show where they're questioning our beliefs around what is scientifically relevant. Or maybe I got into real estate. So I was listening to the Bigger Pockets podcast for a while. It's one of the bigger ones. And what's interesting on that show is it kind of reminds me of what, is it Karen? Am I saying her name right? Just said, where the guy running the podcast was really into it. He was a younger guy. And then the other guy was like, kind of got dragged along, the guy who had started the web page. And it was fun to hear their banter. And it was just so candid and so fresh. And I think that's what kind of drew me to the medium was how honest people are on the medium.
Amazing. I like that. Thank you for sharing.
Sure.
What about you, Khalid?
Well, first, thank you very much, Rehan, for the organization, for the preparation, great preparation, and great effort through the whole previous week for this meeting. And it's an honor to meet with Karine and David. For me, I'm a PhD student at the Instructional Technology department, and the idea started from the train. I am traveling from, the Eastern region into Riyadh. I'm a part-time student. So the idea started from there to start something that helps me and help others in preparing for the lectures and for the exams, and to expand our knowledge in the topics and in the curricula that we are studying in the university. So it started since I joined the PhD program at King Saud University in Riyadh. And I start podcasting through the modules that we are, studying. I started by taking the concepts or the complicated topics and make it simple for me, as a need for me and for other students for sure.
Great. Amazing. And I see David wrote in the chat, Khalid, I love the idea of using podcasting for a flipped classroom. That's so impactful. I'd love to attend these podcast sessions, episodes. Amazing. So thank you very much, Khalid, and everyone. And ready for the second question. How has podcasting become part of your self-discovery journey? And I think this is the focus of our session today. So who'd like to start? Is it ladies first?
Again?
Yeah, same around.
I mean, we don't have to. It might be a disadvantage of going first, right?
Yes,
so ladies
exactly.
first might
David,
become a way
start
to
the
ensnare her.
first.
I'll jump in on that one, so you don't have to go
Please.
first, because I feel like I'm the one who sort of ventured out into this topic. I think it was Rehan and I that started this idea, or she reached out to me, and this is sort of my idea. I brought this up, and what's happening for me, at least in my experience, is I started a podcast. It's on game learning, and it's because games work for learning. I'm not a gamer. So it's interesting that I'm running a podcast on something that I'm not really good at. I don't like games. So what's happened is I've started to really listen to what people are saying. And this, I think that's why this connects to coaching. And I think why this all fits together is because I really want to listen. And with a background in theater, a background as a trainer, you can imagine maybe I'm not the best listener, right? I'm ready to just get out and talk and talk and talk. And so for me, I feel like podcasting has become a journey of self-discovery because I'm being forced to ask questions and then shut my mouth. And in addition to that, I've come into, I guess, knowing about podcasts that I wasn't aware of. One example is Terry Miles makes fictional podcasts, something I was never privy to, something I never consumed on my own. But he has an entire world that he's created through several podcasts that connect to each other. And I've got sucked in. It's the one called Rabbits is about an ARG, an alternate reality game, where the players in the game affect different things and ultimately affect the universe, right? So that in itself, inside of that podcast, the players of the game dictate everyone else's future in the world. And there's a concept of signposts in that. So for me, I've taken that to heart where there are signposts in my life. And if I attribute meaning to them, they become meaningful. And I don't know if you want to get spiritual on this or not. It doesn't matter if it's spiritual or not, because if it works, it works. It's the whole placebo effect. So for me, podcasting has become a way to go out and meet with people I know or people I don't know and learn from them publicly. And I have a lot of value in that.
Amazing.
Thank
What
you.
I can hear, yeah, what I heard, like it's a way of learning for you.
Mm,
And I think it's similar to Khalid. So we have similarities without even realizing that.
sure.
And yeah, thank you for sharing, Karen. So people are asking about your podcast channels, and we can share them with them. I told them after the meeting, if you agree, I will send the links. Hello, Nikesh, if and Linda. Hello, thank you for joining us. Uh, okay, so anybody would like to add any to what David said? Karen, Khalid, yes.
Yeah, so I'll tell you, I thought at first I was kind of like, I'm not sure about this question, right? And the topic, like you said, David. But when I thought about it, it really has helped me and my podcast partner and my accountability partner to really clarify. We're always working with clients and we're always giving this information, but when we came up with a topic and we got very specific, and you have to kind of do your homework, right? You don't want to just show up and start talking. So it helped us get clarity on what do we want, what is the message, and what are the important messages we want to get across. And it's also in my trying to be more self-disciplined, this truly has helped me because it does take to promise that you're going to get an episode out and get it edited and get it on and launch it, that sort of thing. It's helped with my commitment as well.
Amazing. So a way of commitment, knowing self, and we are talking to an expert who help people discover themselves when it comes to communication, self-discipline. It's amazing to hear that we can use it also to develop ourselves in a way. Thank you very much. And Khalid, please.
What a great question, Rehan. Well, the journey started since I think of expanding the podcast and talk with the department about being official through the college. And since they approved the idea, approved the proposal, the journey starts from there. So the self-discovery in the podcasting may be related to me with reading. When you read deeply, read a lot, to try to find topics and try to find something interesting to me and for others, although our community is limited in the instructional design, but Also, when you find an idea that you want to expand, to research about, to expand the knowledge, and find a way to transfer this knowledge to others, that's what makes me committed to the to podcasting, and to try to create more podcast series.
Amazing. Again, so here we are. I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong. I heard that you are using podcasting as a tool to help you and help others.
Exactly.
So I love that, everyone. One of my values is helping others. So thank you very much. And that takes us to the third question. Okay. And Khalid, if you don't mind, can we start with you this time?
Sure.
Merci. So, in what ways has podcasting changed how you listen to others?
Well, listening is a skill that everyone has to master, but as a podcaster, it's different. It shifts the focus from listening to reply, only to reply in a conversation, into deep listening, to understand and to start a common area, to start an understanding with others. You be more aware, and intentionally you think of the tone, you think of the poses, of the unsaid. So you focus more on these things rather than only listening.
Excellent. So, to be honest, this is when as David said, it was an idea we discussed at first, and we were like discussing what is the connection between coaching and podcasting. So, we found that listening is a top skill people should master. So, in coaching, it's one of the main competencies. Let's say, if we are talking about ICF specifically, it's one of the 8 competencies. We have to listen, as Khalid said, to what's said and what is not said, body language, the tone, etc. Amazing. Thank you very much. And Karen, would you like to add anything to what Khalid said?
Just that now that I'm doing the podcasting, when I'm listening to someone else, I'm listening for it. I'm listening differently in terms of how they produce it, how much banter they have if there's more than one person, just the kind of the format, the way they do things as well. And it does make me appreciate more because I know what goes into doing it, right? So it
Amazing.
makes me appreciate what they're doing.
Excellent. Thank you, Karen. And David, what about you?
Yeah, I agree with what everyone else said. Definitely, I was sort of afraid when I started creating podcasts, I would no longer enjoy listening to them. And that hasn't happened yet. Um, but I was joking before about how, when you're an actor, you just talk all the time, or when you're a training facilitator, you just talk all the time. But it's really not true. As an actor, you really have to listen. And as a trainer, you do have to listen to what wasn't said. But I
Sure.
think that of all 3 of them, podcasting has instructed me the most on how to be a better listener, because you have to direct the show. And I think that the thing that I like the most that I heard is listening to what's not been said, right? Maybe someone just kind of scoffs or huffs and then, oh, can we talk more about that? And I think that's the most fun part, or the best part of the whole thing, is thinking about the show as an entity. Just this one episode is kind of a whole world. How can I really explore that, or really get to a truth there?
Thank you very much. I was about to ask you about like listening in the other, let's say, roles or the hats you're wearing, but you just explained that
Sure.
perfect.
Well, perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, what I feel that you have had that aha moment about listening to people more when you started podcasting. So maybe things started to be clearer for you. Is that what happened, or?
Is that directed back at me? I want to confirm.
Yes.
Yeah. I I think it does. I feel like it really has sort of changed the way I approach my life in a way, um, because being live like that with another person, I think it's like Karen said, you want to be prepared. And at the same time, I think it's possible to be over prepared. Like
I
creating
agree.
too many questions is possible too. Overwhelming your guest is possible too. And that's something that's easy for me to do as an action-oriented theater guy. It's easy to kind of overwhelm. I've had a few people who just are like, no, there's no way I'm being on a podcast. And that always surprises me as an extrovert. So yeah, I think, we make a lot of assumptions in our everyday life, and I feel like I do that just a little bit less um, after creating podcasts.
Thank you very much. And now I think Khalid will ask
I'll take
us,
the lead from here, take the
please.
stick
Thank you
in
very
this
much.
marathon. Thank you, Rehan.
Whatever you like to call it. Thank you,
Drink
Khalid. Thank
some
you.
tea until we come back to you. Shall we
Oh,
ask you also with others the coming questions?
whatever you like. I'm
We'll
here.
start by you, okay?
Oh my God. Okay. Ready.
Yeah, I have the three coming questions. Let's start from you, Rehan. What do you think?
Please.
Yeah.
Ready.
So, what do you think the role of deep listening in the podcast and conversation? I don't, I know you are in the coaching field more, but of course you listen to podcasts and know the
Uh,
deep listening role in it.
Unlike David, I'm an introvert. I think Karen knows that very well.
Hmm.
I'm a true introvert, but I have social skills since like I have been working for 23 years with people. So I've been in podcast maybe a couple of times,
Mhm.
but I felt at the beginning, do I want to do this? But it was part of something like greater for the team. And uh, then when I started talking to the person, I felt different. Oh, that's fine. That's like coaching, teaching, training,
Mhm.
everything that I know and practice. So uh, here comes to the idea. I want to know more about podcasting. And when I talked to David, I was so excited. Okay, so listening, podcasting, coaching, we have something in common. Okay, let's start this. Uh, so I'm open to know how podcasting can, let's say, sharpen my skills. I know that a part of my job is listening well to people as a teacher, as a trainer, as a coach, mentor, even supervisor. So I have to listen. I have to know exactly what people are saying before I reply. So I feel, to be honest, that will be a very enjoyable and exciting journey if I
Hmm.
decide to start like being part of a podcast or something. Thank you for asking.
Thank you, Rehan. You'll be great whenever you go.
Thank you.
Kareem, what about you?
Well, I was just thinking that it's interesting because, especially that introvert extrovert thing, because
Hmm.
as an extrovert, I tend to listen to podcasts when I'm doing something else, right?
Hmm.
But sometimes you find, okay, I really want to hear what they were saying. So you kind of stop what you're doing and you go back and listen. Um, so, and I wonder a lot about the audience and what if they are just listening to the podcast really intently, or if they're always doing something else. So I think it's an interesting question. As far as me being in my podcast, when we're actually doing it, I have to listen really carefully to my podcasting partner because I have to react to and make sure that I'm really the in the present, right?
Hmm.
So that it's a really good rapport and everything.
Great. Great,
Yeah.
Kareem. Thank you very much. What about you, David?
Yeah, I resonate with all of that. Maybe I should clarify. I sort of brand myself as an extrovert. I'm more of an extroverted introvert. And I think after I was able to
Hmm.
travel the world a bit, I spent time in Thailand. Um, I became just a permanent extrovert. And I think maybe the more you're open to the idea, the easier it is. this question, I like how it talks about meaningful podcast conversation. And I think Corrine really spoke to that well. And I'd like to reiterate on that or iterate on that maybe.
Mm,
I think it does go back to the listening, right? And it meaningful podcast conversation is just honest. If you're putting on a show or you're just trying to make something up, then it's not going to be meaningful in my worldview. It has to be real. It has to be raw. It has to be honest. And then for me, it has meaning. And then maybe later I'll figure it out with ChatGPT with show notes, like what the hell we were talking about. And that's fine. I think that's fine because I feel like a lot of podcasts that I love, you can kind of tell they're just rolling with it. And those are the ones I like.
Mhm.
Mm.
great.
Mm.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
There should be a relationship between coaching and podcasting, and they should intersect to create authentic conversations, especially in the podcast series. So, what do you think, Karine, about this, relationship between coaching and podcasting?
You know, I'm well, when Adriana and I are in this deep conversation about a topic that we're very excited about, right? Um, in some ways, it is like when I'm deeply involved, like I said, you're very present, right?
Mm,
I'm deeply involved with um, my coachee, right? Now, obviously, I'm not talking as much as I am maybe in the podcast, right? I'm listening more. But that presence, that connection with your coachee, it feels very similar.
mhm. What about you, David?
I think of all these topics, maybe coaching is the one that I probably have the least official experience with.
Me
Apart
too.
from being, yeah, okay, a training facilitator, I feel like I had to develop coaching skills to do that better because I was working with people doing phone conversations in a call center. I would have to then coach them and audit them, and that was very difficult for me at first, and then got easier. Um, the way I perceive it is almost more like therapy. Like I feel like
Mm,
they're a therapist. If I'm at the end of a good show and they're smiling and they look good, I feel like I've just provided a therapy session for them. And I don't know if that's very different than coaching, if you're doing coaching very well.
mhm. What about you, Rehan?
Well, if we say coaches are therapists, they well, I don't know what will happen to my credentials. So one thing we start with when we have any coaching relationship, we tell them the differences between a coach, a mentor, therapist. Uh,
Mm,
I think when you say therapist, David, they're like coaching and podcasting and anything else. We have some similar aspects that make people feel, oh, they are similar. But in coaching, we don't judge. Uh, we put biases away. So no biases, no judgments, and no advice. That's the most
mm,
important. We don't give advice. So everything comes from the coachee or the client. And back to your question, Khaled, about how they are similar. The deep listening we talked about
mm,
earlier is one of the top things when we speak about similarities between them. Also, powerful questions. As David and Karen said, we listen to people to ask the next question. It should be related to what people say and make them like feel, you know, it's what do I mean? Like raise their awareness about other things so they benefit from the questions. Also, empathy. I think Karen talked earlier about being present. Part of the coaching, we must be present there. When from the start of the session till the end, you have to be present with the client, not thinking of something else. Uh, I think there are many other aspects, but this is what I remember now. I see somebody raised his hand, Nikesh, I think. So
Yes, thank you so much. So
Thank
I missed the introduction, so I'm not sure I'm posing the question out of context. If it is, then forgive me. Can I ask the question anyway?
Okay, please go ahead.
Okay, so I'm interested about podcasting,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm more interested about the technical side of podcasting, like developmental side. How do I set up a podcast and what resources I can have access to? Is this like something it will be discussed in this session?
Sorry, I'm not following up. You said, yeah, yes, Karen.
Are, are you talking about kind of how you go about doing it, more the kind of information you need to know and what exactly you do? Is that what you're thinking about?
So I'm
Or
thinking about all of you are a podcast host right now, correct?
Mhm.
Not me.
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
so you
the
have
other
a
three.
journey. You have a journey of setting up a podcast, what it takes to become a podcast host, not the what you're talking about, listening and coaching, not that side, but rather setting up the journey of podcasting, technological setup side,
Mhm.
and
Night,
also how do you prepare yourself as
hey,
as a producer?
Nikesh, do you mind if I step in on this one,
Yeah,
Rihan?
sure.
Yep.
Yeah,
Um,
please.
so I got a master's in instructional design and educational technology, Nikesh, and I feel like I'm qualified to speak on that. I was asked to do a mini series earlier this year, actually, and what I did is I created a classroom setting where I went, and then I created a series of podcasts on how to podcast. So I just
Uh-huh.
dropped a link of that in the chat if you want to grab that real quick. It's a 4 or 5 step process on how to podcast because I don't
That's
know if that's
awesome.
the focus of today. Sure, thank you. Yeah,
Mhm.
All right. Thank you so much.
my
Appreciate it.
pleasure. Of course.
But
Thank you, David.
Rihan, can I just add something
Of
short?
course. Yeah, please.
So yeah, because I do, as I was thinking about today, I'm the one that's just kind of started. We just launched. We actually have been creating episodes. Like I said, we've done 19 episodes. So we started about 6 months ago. But we only launched this past week because we wanted to have enough to in the pipeline so that we didn't miss a beat. But also, there is a lot you have to learn. You have to learn generally, unless you're going to pay, you either pay somebody to do a lot of things or you figure it out yourself. So you have to learn to edit video. Um, and that's a lot. But I'll tell you, the easiest piece was putting it on Spotify. Right now, I'm
Mm.
just on Spotify, but I'm going to add it to others. And that was the easiest part. So just there's some things you do have to learn, obviously, but I'm sure that David's link is much more comprehensive.
So
Mhm.
I hope we answered you, Nakesh. And as you see from the title, like we are talking about how it helps people through their journey, the podcasting, more than the setup. But thank you very much, David and Karen, for answering that. And Khalid, back to you,
Certainly.
please. Thank you.
Yeah, and also for Nikish, in the coming few minutes, maybe in this conversation, we'll talk about some pieces of advices to the new podcasters, as I saw in the question. So this is maybe very important for you, Nikish. And let's go back to the questions. David, what skills you think in the coaching can support effective podcasting?
Yeah, I feel like we've been talking about this on and off throughout the conversation, and we've really focused on the listening so far.
Mm,
Um, and I really still think that that is the best part of advice. I do like what Rihan added, where in coaching, you're not providing advice, right? I don't ever want to ask a question and then tell the person how to answer, right? Or I don't want to ever say, well, that was a
mm,
terrible response, or judge them or give them criticism. So I think it's about being present. And that's the other attribute that I think we've brought up is that sense of being in the moment,
Mm.
And I feel like when I've recorded a really good show, I have no idea what just happened. I feel like I was so in the zone that I sort of almost had a out of body experience. And I go back and check the recording and it's like, oh my gosh, that was a good show. And those are the ones that I'm most surprised about because I'm sort of embarrassed that I don't even remember what I did or said. Like kind of like I'm doing right now. I just got chills. And it's like right? Because when you're being honest, you're not thinking about yourself or thinking you're not being really self-aware. You're just in the moment. You're there and you're having a holy moment with the other person. And I think there's something very valuable about that. And I mean, those are the kind of shows I want to listen to. So that's the kind of environment that I think we should all be trying to create.
Wonderful. So maybe Karen, you're the expert in this question.
Oh gosh, I don't know if I'm an expert, but I would
Well, I'm
say
not.
that giving advice, a lot of times people doing a podcast like ours, my podcast is about strategy and culture and the intersection of that. And so we have some expertise. My Adriana and I have expertise in that. So we are giving advice, right? So, but it just depends on what the podcast is about and um, as to whether you're giving advice. And yes, in coaching, you try not to.
Wonderful. Rehan?
Sometimes when I had a coach, which I've had a coach for many, many, many years, they would say, okay, I'm taking off my coaching hat now because I would ask them for something like, I want to know what you have to say about this. And they would say, okay, I'm taking off my coaching hat. And they would physically do that. I'm putting on my consulting hat. And, yeah. But I know ICF frowns on that.
Um, it
Beautiful.
depends. Yeah, I think it depends, Karen. It depends on how you set it up. So, like
Yeah.
in team coaching, for example, we have that flexibility. Part of it, like training, mentoring, blah, blah, blah. They have other roles for the coach, but it's minimum. And people have to know now we are coaching, now we are not. But as you said, we have to tell the other person, wearing the hat now or I'm taking it off. I love that. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So
Rehan, you will take the lead now.
I think it's David's, right? Thank you very much, Khaled. Thank you. And David,
Welcome.
over to you.
Sure.
Thank you.
All right. So, yeah, I have a few questions here. How do you design conversations that feel human-centered, reflective, and engaging? So that's kind of a three-prong answer, or question rather. Yeah. Maybe you could focus on one of those or answer all three. Khalid, would you like to jump off with that one?
Yeah, sure. I don't know, maybe putting yourself in the listener's shoes and think of what they feel about the conversation or about the topic. Think of being a listener more than a podcaster. That feeling maybe leads you to, be a human-centered, podcaster.
Yeah, I really like that.
Yes.
That's really good. And Rihan, would you like to jump in on that one?
On the podcasting, I'm not the expert. So I think Khaled,
Okay,
has
sure.
answered. Karen,
Go
thank
ahead,
you.
Karen.
Yeah. So I also agree. You've got to think about who is your listener, right? But one thing that when I'm even listening back to my podcast with Adriana, is the times that I feel like we're being the most authentic, we're being we're we're not scripted, right? It's when it's a conversation, we're connected. And also when we add a little bit of humor or just what comes up naturally, it's so much more engaging and it comes across much better, right? So
Right.
it's otherwise, why would people listen, right? If we're just going to talk about strategy and culture and not have that part of that connection. Like you said, David, I think you said those are the ones you really enjoy is
Yeah.
when that
Yeah.
camaraderie is there, you know.
And Karen, it's funny because I was just looking at the chat for a minute while you were saying that, and I was pointing out that if you use AI to edit your show, the AI will take out a lot of the laughter or take out a lot of the emotional points. So you really
Yeah,
have to be
we
careful
don't
with
use
that.
it for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we use it to
No.
help us edit. We use it to help us edit, but
Right.
we don't use it to edit
Okay.
like blank spaces, you know, when the space is
Take
too
out the
long, or
empty space. Right.
if we say right or too much, right, or
Sure.
you know, we do it for that, but not for the general. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why AI is so helpful in this because it takes a lot of the editing out. I think for me, when I hit that button to take out the ums and the ticks, sometimes it does take out the laughter. And that's like the last thing I want to leave out, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
If you allow me, David, I loved what you said earlier about being authentic, enjoying the
Okay.
moment. I think
Yeah.
I do believe in that, and it's one of my values. Any role
Perfect.
I play, I have to be authentic. So you made me think, how can I be authentic if I'm part of a podcast? So thank you for that.
You'd be great
Yeah.
at it,
I
Rihan.
think you would.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I
Well,
think everyone has
thank you.
something to add, right? So I think, yeah, anyone, it doesn't matter who you are or where you've been, everyone has a voice and something to contribute. So
Agreed. Yeah.
100%. We can move on to the next one. And this one's about instructional design. So anyone who has the instructional design attribute, how does that influence the way you structure conversations or episodes? Anyone want to start with that one? I
Yeah,
know
you can
Khalid's
start with that, David. Yeah,
is the
we
instructional
are at the
designer
same
here.
field.
Right.
Yeah, we are
Right.
all
The
the same field.
expert.
Yeah,
Sure.
no, I'm not an expert, just a learner.
Kick us off.
And
Yeah.
this is what we are thinking of when we create or start thinking of episode, to create it or design it as a learning experience, starting by
Right.
being
Yes.
systematic, try to find the right model to design your episode, starting by analyzing the guest or guests, knowing exactly what they are thinking of and what their goals of sharing this, episode with you. Then directly go to design it. Also, AI helps a lot and this, but the touches that you add is very important at that idea. Then you develop it and try to be more, professional in developing the series, because the competition in the podcast field is, severe nowadays.
That's
Then
true.
you go to implement a pilot. You just follow the process, evaluate yourself with each, level of the work.
Yeah, and I love that it brings up the point of having the human in the loop,
Mhm.
right? We
Sure.
have a lot of this with the AI, and it helps speed up the process, right? But if you're just letting AI come up with all the ideas, then you just have kind of that earth think or that
Exactly.
gray, just
Sure.
slop, for lack of a better term. So I love
Yeah.
that, definitely.
Yeah,
And
me
you add the idea of learning, right? That's great. We're adding value for the listener, and I think instructional designers already have that baked in.
Exactly.
Yeah,
agree.
Rihan, would you like to take that one, or would we like Karen to go? I said
Whatever you like.
Rihan.
Yeah.
Let's let
Karen,
Rihan take it. Yeah.
Neil, oh, good. Rihan, do you want to talk about it? Because you're an instructional
Oh,
designer too, aren't you?
well, I'm still at the beginning, but I completed my 3 levels in gamification. It was instructional design. And I think Khalid already covered everything about the learning
Mm.
experience, because you think of the outcomes. What do I want them to learn? So you design the learning experience. I think podcast is the same. Okay, so for example, we had a title and then description, then we had something in mind. Uh, and to be honest with you, I always have plan B and C, because things then they don't usually go the way we want. So I'm flexible about that. And I think that's also part of what David mentioned about being authentic. So also flexible in a way that whatever happens, I'm ready to make the learning experience or whatever I'm designing, make it more, let's say, meaningful to the audience or learners, etc. I hope I answered your question, David.
You
Thank you.
did. No, and I appreciate the candor, right? Because again, we all have a perspective, and I think a lot of times the beginner's perspective is equally valuable, if not more valuable, right? So I love that. Thank you. And Karen, what would you like to add to that or chime in?
I think you all got it.
All right, great. Well, in that case, I think I'd like to hand the torch over to Karen. I think you have some questions as well for the sake of time. Do you want to jump
Okay,
in on that? Great.
sure.
Thank you very
So
much.
the next one is what makes a podcast conversation truly memorable or impactful? Who wants to go? Khaled, do you
Khaled.
want to go first?
Sure. Well, um, what makes the ideas stick in the mind is telling it as a story, maybe, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So a podcaster should be a storyteller as well. So once you start a story, people will attract to your idea, and it will stick in their memory. And also, when the guest elaborate more on the massive concepts through a story, that these moments will people remember a lot.
I agree. Stories are so impactful. Or case studies where they can see themselves in the story, or a
Sure.
case study, an example. When people can see that, or it's familiar to them, I think it can be very impactful. David?
Yeah, I love what Khalid said, and it connects with how I know Rihan. We're both in the gamification certification program through Sententia, and a big part of that is this concept of narrative, right?
Mm.
If we're doing gamification of learning, it's a foundational aspect of that is we're telling a story and we're creating context. And for me, that really digs back into the theater experience that I have, where we're sort of creating a worldview or creating a set of given circumstances. Maybe not a worldview, but just a world, right? That you can experience something in. So I think going back to this idea of making it valuable and Khalid really spoke well to using instructional design. I think instructional designers definitely have an advantage in creating a show. But at the same time, it's helpful to just meet with your guest before you record a show, right? Have a 30-minute call, get to know the person a little bit. And similar to what Rihan did for all of us on this call is just how are we connected? How are we similar, right? We all share different things in common. And if you can start there, then everything else seems to just kind of fall in place a little bit better.
Yeah.
Mm.
So the next
Totally
one
agree.
is
Totally agree.
what
Me too.
we're at what have you learned about communication, connection, and dialogue through podcasting? We've sort of touched on this, but do you have anything else to add about that? David, you want to start on this one?
Yeah, I think the dialogue aspect is what really jumps out with me on that. Maybe it's because I have the background in theater, but it's just having that conversation, that back and forth. And when I first started, I was afraid that maybe I was speaking too much on a show, or as a host, I should really just ask a question and shut up. But then I started to notice on podcasts that I love that some of the hosts they're willing to share a lot of personal information on the show. And I think that kind of adds to it. It makes them more human. Because now that AI is making podcasts, it's sort of nice to hear some of the failures of humans. If we see failure as an opportunity for learning, right, that delta mindset or that growth mindset, I I want to hear about someone else's shortcomings. I want to hear about their imposter syndrome. I want to hear about times that they dropped the ball because that makes it feel more human. I ran
Yeah,
with that one. I
I
I just
agree
took
that
that in the left field.
No, I agree with you though that if I'm listening to a podcast, I want to hear from the podcaster, right?
Yeah, you kind of want to know
The
who they
person that's
are,
asking questions,
right?
I want them to say, "Oh, that really landed with me," or even to challenge it, right? To challenge
Yeah.
something too. Yeah.
So that paradigm really switched for me, I think, after I started podcasting and then listening to podcasts. So yeah, thank you for
Yeah.
letting me reflect.
I'm sorry, I don't, is Khalid or Khaled?
Khaled.
You say it.
It's just no problem. I have no.
No, tell me,
It's
tell
okay.
me.
It's Khalid. It's Khalid.
Khalid. Okay.
Yeah.
So
I
what
totally
about
agree
you?
with you guys. Yeah, I totally agree with you guys. You have to start what we call it a common ground with the guest,
Mhm.
and everyone wants to be heard and understood in the dialogue. So you have to understand that. You have to set the line with the guest and to be smart when to stop, when to ask, when to go personal, and when to stop that. So these common areas makes them feel comfortable and say more.
Yeah, 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 for sure. Okay, let's see. We're doing okay on time. We just have a few more minutes, right? Rihan, what advice would you give to someone starting their own podcast journey? This
Okay.
answers one of our guests' questions a little bit.
Amazing.
David, do you want to start?
I actually had a thought about that this morning. Most of my thoughts come when I'm brushing my teeth or getting ready for work. I don't know if anyone shares that, right? But this morning I was getting ready for work and I had a thought. You really only need to think about two things to get started. And number one is your audience. Who are you trying to help? Who are you trying to serve with this show? And then number two, you need like a brand. So like either a color or a logo or something that's going to be cover art because the cover art has to be very high resolution, right? Like 3,000 pixels. And once you have those two things, I think you're on the right path. And maybe someone else can talk about where else you go with that. Um, but right, if you know who you're serving and you know what your brand is, what
Khalid,
else? Yeah, what else
what
happens
else
after
is
that?
there?
I don't know. Maybe Khalid disagrees with me. That'd be
What
cool.
else?
Totally agree. I can
Okay,
add
cool.
that, as a new podcaster, you have to have a great knowledge, deep knowledge of the topic that you're talking about, because people will feel your understanding of failure of performing, an episode. So you have to read a lot. You have to be a deep, massive, reader for everything around the topics, research, articles. Listen a lot to the podcast that's related to your, you know, interesting area that you're podcasting about, and be comfortable because it's not a lecture. Podcast is a comfortable zone just to talk about the topic in a very comfortable way and use professional equipment. That's it.
Yeah, use professional equipment. That's one. No, I'm going to give the hard pill to swallow a little bit here,
Mhm.
the three of us. I'm going to say that you need to be committed because don't underestimate, for
Mm.
me at least, don't with what we wanted to do and how we wanted to have it be a certain way. It's a commitment. And so I just wouldn't underestimate the time it takes and the learning that you need to do, but it's all good. I would definitely do it again. I mean, I'm really glad that I did, but it is commitment and learning um, things you may not know right now, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah. And also I would say don't use a script. No, you can have an outline, but don't read from a script for sure. We've talked about that a lot. It's about connection. It's about being authentic. It's about being in the moment. Now,
Exactly.
of course, you have your messages that you want to get across and everything, and you can use an outline, but I would just suggest not using a script and that comes from uh, lessons learned.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I agree.
Totally agree,
Instead of a
Karen.
script, have a set of questions. Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah.
a list of questions, right?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, everyone. That was amazing. I think we need 3, 4 sessions to cover part of it only. So, at the end of the session, I'd like to thank you very much for accepting the invitation. Make it possible. It was an authentic idea that we came up with, and you made it happen. And would you like to add anything else, Karen, Khalid, David?
I don't think so. I think we covered a lot of ground. How about y'all?
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's an honor to meet with such an expert in the field, Karen and David.
Likewise.
I'm happy to know you today, and thank you, Rehan, for the organization of this meeting.
Yes,
Thank you
thank
very
you,
much.
Rehan.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
And David,
Yeah. And
thank you.
Rehan, it was a very organic process. I love how this came together. This was all your idea. So kudos to Rehan. Thank you so much.
Oh, no. Kudos to all of you. Thank you so much. And for people who joined us today, thank you so much. And hopefully we can see you in other sessions, ICW next year. Who knows? Thank you. Take
Great.
care. Have a
All right.
great day or
Thank
evening.
you.
Have a
Bye-bye.
great weekend.
Yeah.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.